Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one should probably be silent. Alternatively, you could make a podcast called
Vanity Project.
It's a chart topper.
Vanity.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis!
Not midlife crisis, but midlife clarity.
They're arrogant.
Nice if you like.
Midlife clarity.
Menopause.
Oh, menopause?
Is it a vanity project?
I'm losing my edge.
It's a vanity project.
I stared into the abyss.
I'm losing my edge.
A cash grab vanity project.
That little vanity project.
It's tremendous. I love it.
It's just a vanity project.
Ross. Hi, Ross.
Raze, how the hell are you doing?
All right. Why do you ask?
Because
don't care?
I'm sat across a table from you, and it seems normal to ask that question. How you doing?
I'm fine. We're enjoying some clement weather here in the inner north of gorgeous Melbourne. Look, I don't want to presage it too much, but there's something very exciting coming up. You and your good lady wife have been forming hypotheses.
We have. There's been a couple of things that we've been talking about, and I'm looking forward to having those ideas smashed in the marketplace of ideas.
Or, you could perform a share buyback and inflate the quality of your ideas artificially. Why not? Everybody's doing it. Come and join us. We're talking tidy towns, but first, take it away, Bitsy.
They're lifting weights between visits to doctors. Shit wellness books and hot stones engulf them. Multiple Fitbits are strapped to their skin. And they've also got a podcast.
Fit and trim, Ross. Fit and trim.
I don't want to talk about being fit and trim, Raze. I want to talk about something that happened to me exactly 4 weeks ago.
Tell me.
I was stuck at an intersection in Brunswick.
That's the beginning of a tragic country song.
And and we now have a male person at the door. Hold, please, caller. I'll get this.
No worries. We could have some hold music, please, Bitsy.
Boop.
I will alert you at this juncture, we are going to talk about the subject of tidy towns. Do you remember tidy towns? Perhaps your dad was a little bit fascistic and was the president year on year of the Apex or Lions Club and was always forcing you to clean up in preparation for the Tidy Towns Awards. We have contacted a true expert. Are you a professor, Tommy?
Just a humble doctor, Helen.
Okay. You're Tommy the Commie. Tom Heenan from Monash University, the Australian Studies Department, and whatever other ludicrous names they've given whatever school. The Intellectual Lab or something like that.
It's something like that. Intercultural, I think, Helen.
Why Tom's here is a matter of some curiosity. He just lives a couple of streets down. That's essentially why he's here. He's all over proper media. What he's doing with us is a complete mystery. We'll involve you shortly in the action, Tom, but you just sit there quietly and dutifully thinking your thoughts, because they're very clever and expensive.
I'm pleased to hear it, Helen.
Yeah. Oh, so something happened to you 4 weeks ago. Everything okay at the door?
I have new neighbours. The new neighbours don't know how to operate the air conditioner.
Or respect a fucking podcast. Sorry.
I said words to those effects. So I was at the intersection, and who should be crossing in front of me on a day exactly like today but Adam Band?
Oh, bless.
And I said to my wife, we are in for 4 more weeks of summer. And we have now had precisely 4 more weeks of summer. It's been great.
Adam Band is like the groundhog of Australian extended summer, is he?
Absolutely. I knew him from student politics days, but just seeing him out in the sun wearing his vegan shoes, kind of being mad at the fact that there are cars, you've got another 4 weeks of it. That's great.
Yeah. in the division of, what is it? Are we Melbourne?
Cooper, baby.
Oh, okay. Well, Adam Band's not your local. He's not your federal, is he? He's mine.
Yeah, so I've got Jed here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You didn't choose Jed. I didn't choose Jed.
No,
I don't think
she
anybody
robbed it.
chose Jed.
She robbed it off Celeste Little. Robbed it. Anyway, that's enough. That's about the extent of my knowledge of Australian federal politics. My division and yours.
Excellent.
The frissons between ladies of the Labor Party and ladies and gentlemen of the Greens. Ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-identifying people of the Greens. And that hideous volcano of neoliberal progressivism, Sarah Hanson-Young. You're listening to Vanity Project. Now, Ross, are you going to apologise for my behaviour or not? So I'm sick of it, frankly.
Like as a blanket thing, sure. I would like to, in advance for our listener who has misphonia, we're about to do a little bit of eating.
We are. Also, a long-promised foray into the topic, and we've actually both done some substantial research into this. When I say we both, I mean you. It's actually kind of intriguing, or, well, not so much intriguing as personally and selfishly useful to you, and indeed perhaps myself, about how music of different BPMs, genres, attached to different exercise activities can inform your silhouette. Music can be good and bad for exercise, but we're not talking about it this week because I have a surprise for you.
What is the surprise? Because I had been saving myself for this.
This is, I know, well, we'll have to do it next week. All right, so I have a flatmate. Her name is Lola, and she is in fact a showgirl, as well as one of Coles Richmond's premier night managers. She's also a graduate of the highly regarded William Angliss Hospitality College. So my diet has improved. She's, well, let's face it, I'm carrying a little extra at the moment. I'm wanting to hold on to high school boyfriend. My entire future hinges upon 5 kilos and the loss thereof. So she's been making me, at my request, and because also she enjoys fat shaming. She doesn't. Sorry, Lola. She's actually a hugely nice person. She's dressing a duck for you for the weekend, by the way. You requested a duck at our next meeting, and I'm...
When you say I requested a duck, I said that I would chew the cloaca out of a low-flying duck. That is not the same thing.
Did you not actually want a duck? Because I've got one on order from the Pran Market. Oh, I thought you actually meant you wanted to eat cloaca.
I mean, I will. I
have.
I will eat any part of the animal. My people eat every part of the buffalo.
That's cultural appropriation. And you should be shamed and cancelled if it were not actually an obsolete act.
Were it not for the fact that my mother-in-law is a tribal elder, so get fucked.
That's not funny.
My mother-in-law, and this is not a joke, is an elder of what are called the Mission Indians in Southern California. So I'm allowed to use that word.
I don't know if it works like that.
Yeah, by the transitive property, it really does.
Okay. All right, well, your in-law matrilineal heritage aside, get your gob into that. So this is a sorbet. This is plain watermelon sorbet. Tom Heenan, Dr. Tom Heenan from the Australian Studies Centre at Monash. You may know Tom from his, well, fairly frequent appearances on legitimate media. He's, I think, probably best known for hating the fuck out of Donald Bradman. And that's one of the many reasons I admire him. You've done that thing. You've broken the Goldwater rule, haven't you? And you've diagnosed, without any psychiatric training whatsoever, which is impressive, you've diagnosed the Don with Asperger's.
Well, it wasn't hard.
No.
He's a fairly enclosed, or was a fairly enclosed character.
He was vile.
Well, anybody who says I've got a batting average of 99.4 odd is odd.
Yeah.
He's a very odd man.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But there was a lot wrong with the Don. What a prick.
Well, he had a fairly nasty side, let's say. A side that you wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of. And, of course, the reputation. Bill O'Reilly, the great Australian leg spinner, said And in terms of Bradman, you can't piss on statues. And Bill probably suffered because of it.
Now, you're having a watermelon sorbet. Have you had a little?
Yes, it was delightful, actually.
Was it? Actually, like hardly any sugar, just the amount of caster sugar in there to prevent it from over-crystallising. Did you have a little watermelon sorbet? We're clean eating.
I did. It was delicious.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to pass on the gazpacho granita. Here we go.
Oh, this sounds ominous.
It's healthy. It's healthy, and I do apologise. Please partake of more.
This looks like somebody might have just offered me leftover soup.
Oh, fuck off. It's lovely. Sorry, it has
So
actually...
I'm trying to build a word picture for our listeners.
It has actually suffered a little in transit. Lola's quite the committed cook, actually, and she's put these all in insulated containers. Yeah, yes or no? You're making a disgusted face.
No, I'm having an experience which is not dissimilar to some sexual experiences that I've had where something happens and you go, "No-K."
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah?
No-K. Okay, so finally, this is the avocado sorbet. Again, very small amount of white sugar intended only to stop crystallization. I think this one's fantastic. This is clean, pleasurable eating. How's it going for everybody?
I'm going to call that one a no from me, dog.
Oh, fuck, I like that one.
But it's quite nice.
Pass it on to Tom. All right, so this is, and go for it. Would you like to partake of more of the watermelon? You may do so.
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, ungrateful.
I'm not ungrateful. I'll
undercook your cloaca if you're not careful. Did you really not want duck? We were going to have a meeting on Sunday. I always find it's a little better if I do something supplicant and female for my misogynist friend.
If you bust a duck.
Yeah. Do you want duck?
Sure, that'd be delightful.
Duck?
I think it's like the fattiest of the common fowl. Why not?
All right. Well, the duck's on order. So you're eating duck. Fuck it. So is that it for Fit and Trim? How did clean eating go for everybody? These are high nutrient vegan pseudo desserts. How did it go for everyone?
Absolutely delicious. Wasted in Coles. Should be out there in the market with.
Oh, she's got many lives. Has Lola? She's a well-known fire spinner.
So I would like to go back to
She'll be performing at Confest.
The gazpacho.
Yeah.
What?
No K.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's very promising.
I'm willing it back. I reckon no K is okay.
Yeah. I'm actually, I think I'm actually going to get my shit together and do some show notes finally on vanityproject.skin if you would like the recipes. We're actually thinking, because of our experiments in ice cream, that we're going to buy the Ninja Creamy with an I Deluxe model NC 501. What do you reckon?
I don't have strong opinions either way, but I know that all ice cream machines are single-use appliances that take up 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres of space. If you are prepared for that in your life, you should get one.
All right. I think that's it for Fit and Trim, because we have very, very important cultural issues of which to partake. And whereof he can speak, he certainly does. Well, Tommy boy. Welcome again. Tom Heenan from Monash University. Back in the day where I was a sort of a quasi-legitimate journalist, I was always bothering you, wasn't I?
We did have the odd phone conversation. Very pleasant.
Before we get into the segment that we like to call Shit Show in Egypt, which is about, essays into cultural curlicues and artistic review, films that we enjoyed, et cetera, I did want to ask of the room a particular question. It's one you might ask yourself too. We've recently started a program, perhaps akin in its potentially colossally transformative power to the Tidy Towns itself. We're encouraging you to improve your word power by murdering a stupid fucking expression each day. I think last time my vote was for lived experience. Excise that from the popular lexicon. Of course, I think we're both unified in restoring the original meaning of misogyny. So we've got a word for it? Or am I speaking too promptly on your behalf, Ross.
Well, no, as a man, I could never possibly
No, you
respond
can't.
to that.
Fuck off. Stop mansplaining. Stop manspreading. And indeed, my eyes are up here, Ross. My eyes are up here. I'm more
I thought
than...
you were blind. I honestly thought that from here.
Wait,
I
so you
could
were
do-
looking at my tits?
Exactly. But
Were you?
How would you know?
I didn't. I was just presuming. I'm told that they're, because I am carrying a little bit of extra weight at the moment, I'm told that they're better to look at.
Well, might you say that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
All right. Any particular expressions that you encounter in the dying monstrous midden of bullshit that is academia?
Moving forward.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's got to go. What about inclusion, Tom?
Oh, inclusion, overused. But moving forward, I want to move back for a while.
Yeah.
I think moving backwards is a better way to go.
Moving backwards laterally?
Moving laterally would be good too, but moving forward, I don't think there's any future in it.
I myself am in favour of inertia.
Oh,
Unless, of course, class warfare is involved and then indeed move all over the shop to murder the bourgeoisie and indeed hang the last share buyback advisor with the guts of the last economics department. It's a little nod to Diderot here on Vanity Project because Ross went to a private school.
For my sins, I did. In academia, has anybody ever asked you to take a topic and run it to ground?
no, I think I do that anyway.
Yeah.
There have been a few times where I thought this is a career-ending topic and it certainly
got
was a promotion. Well, it's a promotionally ending topic. I think that's another way of putting it.
Yeah. What about, I've noticed, because the human sciences are a pale privation of what might be considered useful knowledge these days. Everything's vocational.
Oh, yes.
Monash, like all the other universities, fucking pumping out, like potentially. No, Monash is an exception, and thank you for joining us today. One thing that I've heard in the human sciences, which I very much don't like, is the term grounded.
Oh, there's grounded theory.
Yeah.
There's grounded
what the
everything.
fuck is grounded theory?
No idea. I'm not a theoretical person at all.
Yeah.
I prefer the art of bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Have you read
there's more
Harry
future.
Frankfurt's essay on bullshit from the 1980s? It's a good deal of fun.
Oh, I must. But no, I think there's a future in bullshit. When you're stuck in I shouldn't probably say this, when you're stuck in a lecture theatre, the first thing you do is head to the bullshit corner.
Yeah, of course.
And, you watch the kids' heads pop up. They love bullshit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why not? I mean...
Because they're going to get a bullshit job.
Yeah. You've read the David Graeber book?
Yeah, they're going to get a bullshit job. Yeah.
Please explain the bullshit corner. What happens there?
Well, they're nodding off.
Yep.
You know it's an hour and 45 and they've got no future.
Which is too long. We all know that.
Well,
And they're only doing arts because they couldn't get into something more vocational.
Well, they missed out on plumbing at a TAFE,
Yeah.
of course. So that's probably it.
Tom and I discussed just before you arrived, beautiful fairy princess, Tom and I discussed the fact that I should have been a plumber instead of a journalist. So
Oh, God, so should I. My grandfather was a plumber.
Yeah, well, if you took Watergate, you could do both. But no, I think about an hour and 45 in, tell them a little story. Maybe yesterday it was good. I shouldn't speak out of school, but it was a class on capitalism, so I just told them that they're not going to earn much money through wage labour and the biggest money they'll ever make in life is when their parents die. You should have seen the ears pop up.
Yeah.
So
Well, as long as you didn't encourage them to murder their parents. But, I mean, these days, that could be said of you and you could be sacked.
you could be sacked for a lot of things these days, Helen. Yeah, but I was sticking to the straight and narrow, just saying that capital accumulation and inheritance go together.
Yeah. And wealth over accumulation will end in the common ruin of the contending classes, and we're all going to die. Here on Vanity Project, the species has few prospects. But we don't care. We're wellness influencers. You are a person in late midlife. Otherwise, you're listening completely out of curiosity. Ross, you don't want to vote for another word to excise from the popular lexicon?
Yeah, not this week. I do not. I would like to move on to the topic at hand, although I would like a little bit of frozen gazpacho.
Okay. I'll give you the frozen gazpacho. You might want to put it in the freezer. But perhaps your good lady wife would enjoy it. Although
I would never ask her to do that because that is...
Bringing another woman's cooking into your household, not a good idea. I was recently in Albury. Did you receive my picture of the motel? Did
I ever?
There was no breakfast hatch at the motel. That upset Ross a great deal. Some of his fondest early memories are of the simulated incarceration vibe of getting a couple of old poached eggs popped through the breakfast hatch. No breakfast hatch.
So the breakfast hatch is one of my key memories of being a kid. So we used to travel a lot. So I think I've told you I didn't really live in a house until I was about 7. Lived in caravans and we travelled a lot. And from time to time, we would stop at a motel. And I always liked the breakfast hatch. You know, the hatch would open, a tray would slide in. Because my father is my father, it would be some baked beans and some toast, which was separate. But they would wrap the toast. There was, in the same way that they wrap the toilet to say nobody has pooped in this toilet, they would wrap the toast to say nobody has pooped on this toast.
Ross and I, Tom, out of interest, just so you know where we come from, so you know which side we're on, son. We both had dads who made good building during the 1980s boom. Oh. We each grew up in successfully aspirational families.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bizarre. And you'd think we'd have a little bit more faith in capitalism as a result. Don't.
We'd have more faith in class mobility. Yeah, not so much.
Albury, the dancing partner of Wodonga, on the Victorian side of the Great River, is a very tidy town.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's a lovely town. It's a very grand centre.
Does that change when you hit the river?
Oh, fuck yeah. Wodonga, pull your socks up. No, Wodonga's actually quite pretty, but it did suffer a great deal during COVID. Albury, Wodonga. I was talking on the train to a healthcare worker who was quite fucking traumatised by what happened during COVID. You might remember, this is very down, isn't it? But there's a lot of old folk died here. And everyone applauded Dan for it. Oh, look, thousands of old people dying without ventilators because you fucked up, mate. You privatised everything. I won't go there. I won't go there. I won't. But it was. Are you with me, Tom?
I am.
Just the thing that frustrated me about COVID. I mean, apart from the millions of deaths, the lack of preparedness for an absolutely predictable zoonosis, etc., was the fact everyone was getting shitty with everyone else for buying too much toilet paper. No one was getting shitty with our leaders for being motherfuckers.
Well, that's because they were on every morning just telling us it would all be good moving forward.
Don't get me wrong, I hate it. Moving forward in a grounded way. Don't get me wrong, I hate a fucking Tory. I mean, the only reason I've ever been drawn, I think, to vote for anything is to see the Tories miserable. But Dan is a prick. He was a prick.
Well, I mean, my great takeout from the pandemic was when you had pillow slips with the chief medical officer on them.
I
want one.
And the blanket, like the
blankets.
thirst.
Yeah.
The unparalleled thirst for that guy was incredible.
It was. He became a star, and he's completely disappeared.
Yeah. Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would if I were him.
He was a superstar. Mm-hmm. And there was Dan. What was the brand name of the top he had on?
North Face.
North Face. That's it. Every day we saw it out there.
Yeah, not cheap either, that stuff.
And was it Rachel who always, from News Corp, who always asked the question and Dan got shitty? Cleverly rehearsed, I'd say.
Those are the days.
Yeah, wonderful days.
Sexual attention in the time of cholera. It was beautiful.
And Raph Epstein always tweeting out the numbers like 15 minutes before the press conference.
Obviously, it improved us all as people, but didn't improve the tidiness of Wodonga.
I'm going to have a little quick sidebar. Do you remember the computer game Civilization?
Of course I do.
So there is a version of that has an Australia expansion.
Oh, no.
And every now and then when I'm having my little bit of COVID trauma, I play as Victoria and I just refuse to let the rest of the country do anything. It's incredible. And I only do it for a day or two, but I pretty much just mount battlements at the Murray River.
Yeah.
And I just live a really peaceful life internally, but kill a lot of barbarians.
An action we endorse in a digitally simulated environment here on Vanity Project. So as I was saying earlier, Albury struck me as a very, very tidy town. Everything's absolutely in a beautiful grid. Dean Street runs perfectly from east to west, and on the face of it, it's a pretty tidy town. If you go a little beyond it, you'll see, Kmart, trolleys in decay and what have you. But I was just reminded of the Tidy Town program and wondered aloud, to the chagrin of high school boyfriend, because I was ruining our holiday, whether or not this was a good topic for podcast. And I mean, I think he was traumatised by the Tidy Towns program as a tot. Being a country boy, he was, very often drawn in to clean up the park of his regional area. Not a positive view of Tidy Town. But it seems to have disappeared. We've since found out that it hasn't. And the reason it's like, he's a good bloke, Tom, right? He's not bad.
He seems all right.
Yeah, he's a sort of fella. And whenever I call him up, I mean, he's prepared to engage in conversation about idiosyncratic bullshit from the past of Australia. Because we don't the National Archive is underfunded. Trove at the National Library is not moving forward at all. And since 1789 here in Australia, 1788, we've had, I imagine somewhere in the desert there's a great big hole, and that's where we throw all of our history. Wait, seriously, you go to fucking Acme, right?
And Tom, please respond.
Is there a great big hole where we dispose of all of our history and have a couple of cardboard myths about Anzac?
That wouldn't surprise me at all. And of course, it's coming up to the great day again. No, that wouldn't surprise me at all. But really, let's go. Think of the word tidy.
I did.
That is Australian passive aggressiveness. Pick up the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick up the paper, you little shit. That's what you got at school.
Yeah.
You're still picking up papers.
Yeah.
Tidiness.
Wait, I mean, there is that, if you were fucking Foucauldian, right? And I'm sure your university is full of the disease. What do they call it? Biopower, when you've internalised the power in your body. I'm probably getting all of this wrong, but who cares? Everybody gets Foucault wrong. They must do. He's the most cited 20th century philosopher. And he had this idea, it's actually not a bad one, of the panopticon. That Jeremy Bentham's actual kind of like invention, Jeremy Bentham, the philosopher, architect, whatever, was he from the 19th or 18th century? Late 18th?
19th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
18th,
I don't know if I know, you're the academic. I'm asking you.
Oh, sorry. I forgot.
Yeah. Let's split the difference. So he explain a panopticon. Can you explain a panopticon? I'm not very good at these spatial things.
Yeah, I really can. The idea of the panopticon is that it is a prison that is inside a tube, if you like, and around the edges of the tube facing inwards are all the cells, and the prison warden is able to look into all of the cells, either using the prison warden's eyes or, in different versions, potentially a prism. So the one warden can keep an eye on pretty much an infinite number of prisoners.
And this was...
By the way, how was that? That's pretty good.
That's pretty great. The only thing that I would add to that is that it's illuminated at night. The prisoners can't see into the panopticon centre.
That's right.
So there doesn't actually need to be anybody in the panopticon for prisoners to still feel as though they're under surveillance. And this is why it's a concept, I think, because you're not a dumb fucker. You're listening to Vanity Project, the absolute heights of... Sadly, though, this podcast relative to other podcasts is not that dumb, and that's just wrong.
We can make it dumber.
And we will. This idea of biopower, which just means a power that you've internalised in the body. These panopticon prisons were actually built in Australia and almost nowhere else.
I did not know that they were built.
There's one at Port Arthur.
Okay.
And I think, and we might ask the academic here, Pentridge Prison, which is now known as Pentridge Luxury Apartments, and that's not a fucking lie.
Good cinema there.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, good centuries of brutal rape and a gold-class cinema.
There is a very good cinema there.
And there was a panopticon excavated about 5 years ago there because, Australia was considered a very liberal prison experiment. It was very humane, right? Am I right about that?
Well,
It's an Enlightenment prison.
Well, I mean, if you were down at Port Arthur, I'd say you weren't having a good time. If you were on Norfolk Island, you definitely weren't having a good time.
No one was having a good time. But
if you were getting land from Governor Macquarie and able to build a fortune on it as a ticket of leave or something, you were having a very good time.
Yeah.
And you were getting that land on the western plains of New South Wales where there was black wars. This was about conquest.
Yeah. Clearing the land, I heard they called it once.
Settlement.
Yeah.
Which is really extermination.
Yeah, genocide.
Yep.
You're listening to Vanity Project. Back to tidy towns. Roz,
Raise.
you went crazy with, not crazy, you went quite scholarly. You found out, I think, that tidy towns is a concept borrowed from Ireland.
So I don't want to speak out of school here because I'm not a very smart man, but
You're not. You're very handsome and well endowed.
that is the most important thing for all people like myself who are trying to skim through life. The Tidy Towns program was a really big thing when I was a kid, to the point where I can remember the jingle. There used to be ads on TV.
Would you? Go on.
Tidy towns are wonderful because they keep Australia beautiful. Wow, that was out of pitch, but...
To be fair, probably the original was as well.
Yeah, it would have been. And there was a pictogram or an ideogram of a person, a Helvetica figure, throwing something into a bin.
I like that logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a thing that was very, very big when I was growing up, right?
Yeah.
And since we were discussing this yesterday, I was trying to think of why that might have been. And I had a flashback, actually, of being in a car while I was a kid, while somebody in the car in front emptied out a full ashtray of cigarette butts and threw them out the window. And some of them were very, very much alight. And that used to be a thing, right? People would just pull out the ashtray, throw it out the window, off we go.
Yeah.
And then obviously that became less and less of a thing. Towns would declare that they were tidy towns, but we don't really see it anymore. Sort of, I, as you, love regional Australia, and you don't really see the tidy town thing that much anymore. You might go into a place like Hamilton, and Hamilton might have a thing on the way in saying tidy town, I'm going to guess 86, 88.
Well, it does still exist.
Yeah, it does.
I asked Tom, who's been doing a quick little bit of research for us, rang him up the other day, and he said, tidiness is perhaps not considered as much of an exemplar of a virtue as it may once have been. So I can't imagine the term tidy, something that would resonate. Tom said, "Oh no, it'd be sustainability now. They'd like the word sustainability." Very good, because it's the Keep Australia Beautiful Tidy Town Sustainability Awards, and I think Beechworth keeps winning it every year.
Beechworth won the most recent one, yeah.
3 times since 2010. Beechworth is it.
Yeah.
You are looking at the tidy town behemoth,
Yeah.
Beechworth.
Yeah.
So what do you got to do? You got to have some gin distilleries, a whole bunch of people who have third houses, and station wagons.
And Brunswick Green paint. Just for the heritage colours. Yeah, down a Bunnings for the Brunswick Green.
Oh yeah, and Glen Murcutt local rebuilding laws where you've got to reuse your old corrugated iron.
And there's usually a sign, isn't there, outside the town? What is it?
Historic.
Dobber Dumper. Dobber Dumper. Yeah, it's one of the great signs.
That thing that we were talking about before, the panopticon, the internalised sense of being surveilled. Australia has always been very good, despite this fucking rat shit stuff that you see on Sky News and what have you, this sort of play acting about the larrikin culture. We are the least... there is that very strong strain of Labor history, which Sky News is not very fond of. You could, I've heard some people say, Tom, before that, the Western Labor movement, or that is the Labourist movement, or the Labor Party, kind of really was born to some degree in Australia.
Well, it's up there in Barcaldine in Queensland. That I think the tree is no longer there, but they've planted a new tree as they've planted a new Labor.
Yeah.
You could say that yes, here we had the first federal Labor government under Watson.
But I mean, we have got a good history of like the Labor Party aside, we've got a good history of labourism, of trade unionism, of things like the Eureka Stockade and the Shearers' Strike. I mean, these are really things that came from the people. They were not the work of Sally from the ACTU, were they?
No, they were movements for democracy based. They were movements about the bourgeoisie, if you look at it. Eureka was really about getting a bit of a tax grab. You just,
I think it was about more than that, but we'll perhaps we can canvass that in a different. See, very arrogant, Generation X. I don't care. I'm arguing with a man who knows.
You are not going along with my narrative. Let's just put a pin in that.
All right. Yeah, exactly. You're fucking wrong. It was a beautiful moment of solidarity. And it was very, influential in the anarchist movement.
It was.
Sorry, I'm being boring and I'm aware, and I'm not going to take you along for the ride here on Vanity Project. But that stuff you were saying about, Australians are, apart from like a lot of labourist revolutionary movements that there have been that we must acknowledge, because we want some sense of something that actually happened in the past. It's a fucking nation of dobbers and prefects is what I'm getting at, isn't it?
It is. Look, when you talk about revolutionaries, there was that great line from that film about Stalin in Australia. I've forgotten the name of it.
Oh, that we'll never Rudy get Davis. And,
we'll never.
Oh.
What's that one called? Hey, why not email us here at Vanity Project?
But keep going.
Yeah, we'll never get the revolution up with 6 o'clock closing. They actually needed another 4 hours to drink to think about, who to actually overthrow.
Yeah.
And I think that was the end of it.
Yeah.
By 10 o'clock closing, you're just too drunk to do anything.
Yeah.
You were talking before about how, Australians think of themselves as larrikins, and everybody thinks of themselves as a revolutionary.
Yeah.
I had this idea that really inside all of us beats the heart of a cop.
Oh, yeah. Kill the cop inside your fucking head.
But it's not a cop. It's a screw. Inside every Australian beats the heart of a jailer.
Yeah.
Right?
A Serco worker.
It's somebody who wants to be able to get something over somebody else. That's really, I think, what we're about.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible way to think of ourselves, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
You've just explained the growth of the security industry. Yes, you walk around supermarkets, you'll run into somebody from security.
Yeah, or a robot, which is what I bumped into in Rye in the Mornington Peninsula like 18 months ago.
Well, you would. It's just the place.
Yeah.
It's a tidy town area.
I grew up down there.
Can I just say, I know you're finding this hard to tolerate here on Vanity Project, but I'm having a fucking wonderful time. We've barely begun to pierce the membrane of tidy towns. We've already been talking for 3 days. Can we ask him to come back for a second helping?
Sure.
Tidy Towns Part 2? Is that all right?
Let's do that.
You do have you and your good lady wife have been in hot discussion. Is there anything that you'd like to mention about tidy towns?
Yes. So my wife is, as always, much smarter than I am, and she believes, that's fucking intolerable. Like, never marry somebody smarter than you. Just the worst. Her view is that the cultural demise of the Tidy Towns program kind of coincides with the idea that we no longer look at individual action and we look at everything as being systemic.
I mean, just mathematically, it's impossible for individual action or large-scale individual action to save the fucking planet. Your recycling bags are going to do fuck all.
I think the death of Tiny Town has been the leaf blower. It's the most useless fucking instrument on the planet. With people with vests on blowing leaves anywhere. I mean, that is the end of Tidy Town. The whippersnipper and the leaf blower. That's it.
Yeah. I reckon, Tom, I think we'll try and get some of the original school prefects, some of the screws from Tidy Town in. Perhaps you could interview them on our behalf. Would you join us again here on Vanity Project?
I will. I'll bring in a banana in pyjama because they are real fans of Tidy Town.
Oh, Jesus.
He's unavailable.
Yeah, no. Jesus flipped the rice. That's it for Vanity Project. Ross, how do you plan to dispose of your? I'm presuming that you're going to indulge in another vacation shortly.
I am about to have another vacation. I'm going to Lake Boga, which was a tidy town at one point.
Yeah.
And this evening I'm doing the most Gen X thing imaginable, which is going to see UMI play both Hi-Fi Way and Hourly Daily.
Have you got a spare? Christ, I claim to hate nostalgia. As we try to reignite the flames of youth by seeing what was frankly an always average band do their thing as aged men. Are they still a three-piece?
I'll let you know tomorrow.
All right. You've been listening to Vanity Project.